Hello, everyone. My name is Matt Arant from Arant Academic Planning. This is another installment of our virtual information session series where I'm joined by admissions representatives from schools all across the United States, Canada, and Europe. And these schools represent a wide variety of options for you and your family to consider, whether it's a small liberal arts college or a state flagship research institution, a women's colleges and men's colleges, religiously affiliate institutions, and everything in between. And today I'm joined by Antonio Donohue, who is representing St. Louis University. So, Antonio, you ready to get started?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. All right. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Antonio. I'm an admission counselor for St. Louis University. I'm also a former alum, both at the undergraduate and graduate level. So I've got a lot of Billiken experience to share with you today. We're going to go and hop into it by giving you a brief rundown about what our identity looks like. If you aren't already aware, St. Louis University is a Catholic Jesuit university. Jesuits are an order of Catholic priests founded by St. Ignatius of Loyola, focused really heavily on two things. That is going to be the education of young people across the world. That is why there's so many Jesuit universities across the country, and they are also focused on social justice, being one with the communities in which they are part of. We are located out in St. Louis, Missouri. It's right on the border of Missouri and Illinois. We're actually the first university founded west of the Mississippi River back in 1818, but we draw students from all over the country and globally as well. At SLU, we have four things that we think define us as a university that other universities might not have. We call that the Billiken Promise. That's going to include scholarship extensions, the $10,000 SLU Difference Award, experiential learning, and our study abroad opportunities. And I'll dive more into each of these throughout the rest of the presentation. First, talking about that study abroad experience. All of our students, no matter what major they choose, have a guaranteed opportunity to study abroad at our campus in Madrid, Spain, in a way that allows them to stay on track within a four-year degree plan and adding no extra cost to their total cost of attendance for those four undergraduate years. Other exciting thing about our SLU Madrid experience is that it is a fully functioning university. So depending on the degree plan that you're interested in, you can spend all 4 years at our campus in Madrid and still get a US degree. So it's a great way to gain that global experience. Then we're going to talk about our experiential learning program. This is called SLU EXP, opportunity to sort of build your resume through virtual internships, group competitions, workshops, training certificates. These are things that high school students can take part in now and continue on and to continue to partake in throughout their undergraduate experience. More time. All of our students upon admission are awarded some form of merit-based scholarship based off of their application. We recognize that students coming to college may not have a clear set idea about what they want to do, or if they do have a clear set idea, we recognize that it might change. We are all about helping you find out what you are passionate about doing for your future career. And in that, we guarantee our merit scholarships for up to 5 undergraduate academic years or 10 full semesters of undergraduate education. Now, our degree plans are designed to be completed within those 4 years. This is, again, just to give you that flexibility to discover and do something you are really passionate about. Talking about discovering your passions, another scholarship opportunity we have is through our SLU Difference Award. This is a $10,000 fund that can be used for summer and winter courses, mainly because traditional financial aid models don't cover those terms. Developing your passions, maybe you want to add a minor, add a second major, and have to take classes over the summer, winter to do that. We want to give you the financial backing to have that ability. Now, a lot of these next slides are going to be talking about the SLU student experience. As a former alum, I can talk a little bit about my experience throughout these slides. So anytime I say the words, I did this, I experienced this, I want you to sort of put yourselves in my shoes and imagine yourselves while you were at SLU. I think the best way to sort of imagine yourself at university is to connect with students or alum. So take a little bit of my experience and meld it into your own. At SLU, we have 94 undergraduate programs. All of these programs are direct entry, meaning you're taking those classes from day one of your freshman year. We have engineering, business, public health, pre-health studies. There is a whole bunch of opportunity for you to do. Students are often double majoring, majoring and minoring, so lots of flexibility to figure out what you are passionate about. Of those 94 undergraduate programs, there are four specifically that I like to highlight. They are our competitive entry programs. That is going to be our 4-year Bachelor of Science in Nursing, our accelerated 6-year Doctorate in Physical Therapy program, our accelerated Master's in Occupational Therapy program, and our Flight Science program for students who want to become pilots in the future. All four of those are competitive entry, have a December 1st application deadline. We'll go more about the application timeline a little bit later on to the presentation. Other opportunities to get involved and sort of build your academic resume are through our honors and scholars programs. We have 9 of them. Most of them are designed with the opportunity to attend graduate school in mind. So, for example, our medical scholars program guarantees students an interview with our School of Medicine. Our nutrition and dietetics program helps students get entrance into our master's level nutrition and dietetics program. We do have a traditional honors program as well that is more focused on enriching that undergraduate experience, where you are taking honors specific classes, adding on honors components to regular classes, and getting involved in other ways on campus to earn honors credit as well. SLU recently became an R1 research university as well, meaning we have world-class research facilities and opportunities for our students. One of the really cool things about doing research at a private university and a medium-sized university like SLU is the opportunity to get involved in research from really early on. So you're not fighting thousands of people for a very select number of research spots. You have the opportunity to connect with professors and get involved in research from day one of your academic career here. Thinking about what that SLU education does for you in the future, 93% of our graduates are employed, attending graduate school, or doing a voluntary year of service through the Peace Corps, Jesuit Volunteer Corps, something of that sort of nature. And this is all within 6 months of that graduation time. Our graduates are ready to make an impact from very early on, and we see great outcomes for our students all across the world, which is really exciting for them. Our career services team does a lot of great work in helping you prepare for that as well. Now we're going to talk a little bit about our global identity as a university. I mentioned earlier that we have that campus in Madrid. If you're like, hey, Antonio, you know what? I don't really want to go to Madrid to study abroad. Real Madrid isn't my favorite soccer team. That is totally okay. We have opportunities to study abroad on every continent but Antarctica. And working with our study abroad office can help you prepare for those opportunities from really early on in your college career. Then on campus, we have opportunities for students to get involved in that global identity as well through things like our Atlas Week program, which is a week-long event where students and community groups can host events open to the entire campus to grow and learn about each other's global identities. Talking a little bit more about student life and what that looks like for students. So at SLU, we have over 200 different student organizations. I always say it is a lot harder not to get involved than it is to get involved at SLU. Everything from academic organizations, fraternity and sorority life, club sports, Division I sports, fine arts programs. We have a whole lot of opportunity for you to get involved. If we're looking at that Division I athletic experience, we have 16 NCAA Division I sports. We are most known for our soccer and our basketball programs. Men's soccer has historically the most NCAA Division I championships in NCAA history. Our women's soccer team has won 7 out of our last 8 conference championships. And our men's basketball team made a pretty decent run in March Madness this past year, which we are really excited about and seeing how that operates going forward into the future. When you are on campus, we do have a 2-year residency requirement. Freshmen and sophomore students are required to live on campus. Juniors and seniors have the opportunity to move off campus, but they aren't necessarily required to. We do have upperclassmen apartments available for students as well. Everything you see on this slide tagged in white with the blue lettering is going to be our first year residence halls. All the yellow tags are going to be for upperclassmen apartments. For students maybe coming from a little bit closer, or we may have family in the St. Louis area, there is an opportunity to commute from home. You would just have to fill out a residency exemption. This housing playlist down below has layouts of everything that you need as far as what that housing opportunities look like. Now for talking about the city of St. Louis as a whole. SLU really prides itself in seeing the city of St. Louis as an extension of our campus. We are smack dab in the middle of the city in the midtown area of St. Louis, and our students are out and about in the city all the time. Whether it is to catch a Cardinals game, go to the St. Louis Zoo, or volunteer with the community, you will see a SLU student no matter where you go in St. Louis. The other really exciting thing about St. Louis as a city is the word free and St. Louis go kind of hand in hand. There's a lot of free opportunities for students to take part of. Forest Park, the zoo, the art museum, the science center, various farmers markets. There's a lot happening in St. Louis. Every weekend, there is something new to try. This is a little map of the Midtown area. In the past 6 years, there's been a lot of redevelopment in that area, making it more walkable and more friendly for our students, which is really exciting as well. Prospect Yards is going to have a lot of food options, grocery options, and a lot of other opportunities for like mini golf and all these other fun things. Target, Top Golf, the Fox Theater. There's a lot happening around St. Louis University's campus right now. Now, talking about how you will be supported as a student at SLU, what resources are available to you while you are a Billiken? We're going to start with our Student Success Center. They work with students for tutoring. They work with students for academic advising. They work with students for writing services. Anything you need, they have an opportunity for you to reach and feel supported in that academic experience. I talked about career services a little bit earlier as far as the outcomes for our graduates. They also do a lot of work with our current students and helping them find internship experience, help them maybe get a part-time job while they're on campus or in the city of St. Louis. Career services can look over your resume, your cover letter. They can provide you with a mock interview. Or if you want to go back home over summer, they can help you with the internship search there as well. So lots of great opportunities and resources to take advantage of. Our Office of Belonging works with our students as far as incorporating diversity and inclusion on campus. They work with their students to host various events and make sure that students are aware of each other and growing together as one student body, or what we call one SLU. Building on about the resources that we have available for students, the University Counseling Center is a great resource for students experiencing any sort of mental stress, whether that be feeling homesick, feeling stressed about upcoming exams, or any other sort of support you might need. Our University Counseling Center works with students on a case-by-case basis to provide free counseling for them on campus. We recently became a JED certified campus, which is the highest level of accreditation that a college campus can receive in regards to mental health counseling. It is something we are very, very excited about as a university and something we are continuing to develop as far as the resources available to our students. Our campus recreation and wellness team is where our students will find opportunities for intramural sports, club sports, group fitness campus, access to our on-campus gym. Great resource to develop that physical side of things while you are a student at SLU. All of our students will get in free to our gym with our student ID. They can take part in those intramural and club sports. Great way to build community there as well. And then campus ministry is meant for students to develop in their faith identity. We have retreats, mission trips, Bible studies for students on campus who identify with the Catholic and Christian faiths, but we also offer opportunities for all students of all faith backgrounds. If for whatever reason you can't find an opportunity to practice on campus, our team can connect you with locations in the city of St. Louis so you can grow in your faith background while you are a student. So that is a little bit of a rundown about what that Billiken Promise looks like. We're going to talk a little bit about what your next steps might be, what the application process might be. And as we run through, you're going to see some of the awards we've received and recognitions we've received recently. But diving a little bit into our application and our admission pathways. So we have 4 application pathways for you at SLU. That is going to be our early decision 1 and early decision 2 pathways. Both of those are binding decision pathways. That means that if you're admitted via one of these pathways, you are committed to attending SLU and required to withdraw all applications from other institutions. Those have strict deadlines of November 1st and January 16th. Our other 2 pathways are our early action pathways and our regular decision pathways. Early action is a non-binding pathway. It just gets you a mission status notification by February 1st. So it gets you that notification about what your decision at SLU is earlier than if you were to apply via the regular decision pathway. You can see we have a preferred deadline on the regular decision pathway, but working with your admission counselor will allow you to bride and go through that process. Even now, we're still taking applications for this upcoming fall and working with students as they make their final decision on where they're attending SLU. The other important thing to note about that early action pathway is that it coincides with a lot of our supplemental application processes. So, for example, those honors and scholars programs that I mentioned earlier, or some of our more competitive scholarships have supplemental applications that are also due by December 1st. So I always recommend that students apply via the early action pathway, not only for the purpose of getting that admission status notification, but also for the purpose of having the ability to apply to all the opportunities that SLU has available for you. And as I mentioned at the very beginning of this presentation, our four competitive programs, BSN, direct entry physical therapy, direct entry master's in occupational therapy, and our flight science program all have December 1st deadlines as well. So if there's nothing else that you can remember from this presentation, remember that December 1st is a very, very important deadline for SLU. Students who are applying to SLU can apply on the Common application, the Coalition application, or directly through our website. Our application is completely free for undergraduate students, so if you're ever looking for one to add on to your list, we are a great option for you. That is going to wrap up all of the information that I have for you today. There's a lot more to learn about SLU. I gave you a quick brief rundown. If you have any questions for me, you're always welcome to contact me. You can see my email and my phone on the screen. And then for students who are not in Texas or California, which is the student population that I work with, your admission counselor can be found through the link below. But you are always welcome to contact me, and I can get you in contact with the rest of our team.
All right, thank you very much, Antonio. So, a couple of quick questions. You mentioned a couple times those, I think it was four competitive pathways programs, right? Can you
Yes.
kind of elaborate what exactly that means in terms like of maybe a GPA or GPS, excuse me, or sorry, GPA, I got it right the first time. GPA test score kind of range. Like what's like a ideal applicant for some of those competitive programs you mentioned?
Absolutely. So at SLU, competitive programs for us means we have limited number of seats available in those programs. That is solely because of the clinical hours and clinical spots or the flight spots that are available to our students. So I'll first talk about nursing, physical therapy, occupational therapy, because those fall into one bucket, and then we'll talk more about flight science, because that falls into a slightly separate bucket. For nursing, physical therapy, occupational therapy, we are going to look at your transcript, your essay, and your involvement. Those are going to be the big three focuses of the application pathway. We are a test optional university, so if you want to submit your test scores, you are more than welcome to, but it is not required. For most of our programs, we offer the opportunity for you to connect with your admission counselor to see if submitting your test score makes sense for your application or not. So feel free to reach out if you have questions about that. But as far as general applications goes for those, we're typically looking at a minimum of a 3.2 GPA for the nursing, physical therapy, and occupational therapy program. We're looking for 4 years of math and 3 years of science, with a very strong preference towards biology and chemistry as being two of those years of science for those three programs. Flight science is our most competitive program at SLU. We have about 40 flight spots available for incoming first year students. So, again, we're going to be looking at that transcript, looking at a minimum of a 3.0 GPA, but the higher the GPA, the higher and better that you do in those math and science classes, the higher likelihood of acceptance. The other big thing that we are looking for as far as our flight science students go is dedication to becoming a pilot in general. We want to make sure that our students who are committing to SLU are going to graduate as pilots and go on into the field just because of the limited number of slots that we have. So what that looks like as far as the application process goes, it could be writing about aviation in your personal statement, getting involved in aviation programs, shadowing programs. Maybe you're already pursuing a private pilot license, or if all else fails, you can always schedule a informational interview with one of your admission counseling team, and that is another great way to show interest in something.
Okay. Also, like, when I'm thinking of St. Louis, like studying there, it's you guys and then WashU, right? So I was wondering, are there any specific, whether it's formal or informal connections with WashU in terms of maybe taking classes or doing shadowing or internships. How does that work if there's any sort of relationship between the two schools?
Absolutely. Yeah. So there is a very limited number of like formal degree programs that
Mhm.
are run through both SLU and WashU. A lot of universities will partner with WashU for a lot of their engineering
Yeah.
degrees. You'll see that throughout a
Yeah,
lot
any
of
liberal
different.
arts college, they always say, "Oh, we got 3-2," and first question I ask is, "Wash you one of those?" And 9 times out of 10, they say yes. So it's a very
Exactly.
popular choice.
It is indeed. And we have our own engineering programs,
Yeah.
except for chemical engineering. So if you're interested
Okay.
in chemical engineering, we do have a 3+2 formalized program with WashU for that. Most everything else is going to be a pretty informal process. A lot of our students will go do research on WashU's campus. A lot of WashU students will come do research on our campus. Our student organizations will get together, especially if they're very involved in similar things, like our
Mhm.
rock climbing clubs, our student radio teams get together and do that. We are separated in the city of St. Louis by Forest Park, which is one of the
Yeah.
largest urban parks in the country. So that ends up being a middle ground for a lot of our students, faculty, and community members to connect.
Okay, great. And my last question is I always like to ask this for alums that are working for their alma mater. So think back when you were going through this process as a high schooler yourself. What was it about SLU that drew you into looking at it? Are you from St. Louis? Are you from Missouri? Like, how did that process work for you as a high schooler? In much the same way as folks watching this video were kind of in that exploration phase of the college search process.
Absolutely. So, a little bit about my high school and college search process experience. I'm a military kid. I moved around 13 different times before I started college. So, when I was applying to colleges, there was only one thing on my mind because I didn't really have any ties anywhere as far as like a hometown or anything like that goes.
Hmm.
I went to a high school in Arkansas for my last 2 years, and all I knew was that I wanted to get out of Arkansas. So, when I was looking at colleges across the country, I ran down the list and I was at all these different college fairs and things that high school students are attending. And every college fair, I asked every college that was not in Arkansas three questions. First, do you have a study abroad program? Second, what does your pre-med experience look like? And third, what does your soccer program look like? Those were the three questions on my mind. If they hit all the boxes, check, 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 they got added onto the list. Normally, these conversations with admission counselors were 1 to 2 minute conversations that I had. And then I was lucky enough to stop at the SLU table and talk with my admission counselor for a good 15 minutes, which was really atypical for me. Encouraged me to apply. Since we have a free application, I figured there's literally no harm. Why not? And then I actually applied to interview for one of our competitive scholarships. We have a presidential scholarship, which is a full tuition scholarship meant for student leaders who want to continue being leaders on SLU's campus. I was lucky enough to be offered an interview, and I came up to campus the spring of my senior year. So that was back in 2019. And during that time, there was also a polar vortex in the Midwest. So me and my dad flew into St. Louis, got on a bus from the airport back to campus with two of our tour guides. And we ended up getting stuck on that bus for 2 hours because of the snowstorm. Instead of complaining about being stuck on the bus with some random high school senior, these two tour guides were telling me everything that they loved about SLO. They kept saying, Antonio, when you get to St. Louis University, you're going to be involved in this, you're going to be involved in that, you're going to love this. And they kept saying, Antonio, when? Thought it was a silly little tour guide joke, like, ah, haha, when you get to SLU, this is going to be awesome. And continued on throughout the rest of that scholarship weekend. Felt like a pretty traditional campus visit to me. Um, then a month later, I get a call from my admission counselor saying, hey, I hate to break it to you, but you did not get that full tuition scholarship, which obviously I was super bummed about. So my spring semester continues to roll along, and May 1st is coming around, and I still have not made my college decision. My dad isn't super happy with me about that, of course, but it came down to three universities. And on that day, on May 1st, the only thing that was on my mind was that conversation that I had with those tour guides on that bus. It showed me a glimpse about what that SLU community looks like. And that was my deciding factor about why I attended SLU. If you talk to any student or alum, we will always tell you that despite all the amazing opportunities that I talked about in the presentation, our community is our favorite part about the university. And that is something that lasts for us well after graduation as well.
Okay, great. Well, I think that's a great place to end on. As we see on the screen here, if you are from Texas or California, there's Antonio's information. But even more importantly, if you're not, there's a link for you to check out who your respective counselor is. So, on behalf of Antonio and myself, thank you for joining us.
Thank you all.